Okay, excellent. You're here. I was testing my new wizard summoning device, and lo and behold, we're having this conversation. Welcome. If today's video resonates with you, if you clicked on it, if you feel inspired to continue to listen, then I imagine that this is for you. And specifically, I'll be sharing a message today about things that may have been appearing to show up in your life that are unexpected, things that you might have perceived as mistakes, or why are things turning out this way? Now, I'm Danielle Lynn, and I connect with intentional creators, people who are choosing to investigate their reality from the perspective of looking in, exploring around. And I share these conversations to offer perspectives while you are on your inner inquiry journey. Today's inspiration that came forward was around the idea of mistakes. So I'm going to suspect that if you're watching this, on some level, you may have been evaluating recent choices. You may have been evaluating the last few months, maybe even the last year. And you're likely reflecting on how things may not have turned out quite the way you imagined. Now, I'm not putting a judgment on that. Maybe they turned out even better than you could have expected in certain ways, but maybe other things haven't quite panned out the way you initially imagined. So, here are a few perspectives that feel resonant to share at this time with you. And I invite you to take what applies to you and leave the rest. It's easy peasy, lemon squeezy like that. One of the first keys here that I sense is that what you have chosen, what you have done is not a mistake from just the purest sense of the word. It doesn't come across that way to me. It comes across as whether you had intentionally, whether you consciously thought the choices you made were right or not, you've made some pretty specific movements to arrive where you are at right now. So whatever your situation, whatever your challenges, you've created essentially the perfect storm for yourself, so to speak. And once again, this doesn't have to be that it's negative, just whatever is coming together in your life right now feels like you have placed yourself in just the perfect way that a lot of loops, let's say, get completed right here. A lot of plot lines are either resolved or actually expanded upon at this point. Things that may have been in motion in your life, maybe even for years. Maybe this is stuff that you didn't even know, and it's emerging, and you're like, oh my gosh, this all is making sense now. But it's making sense in the way that now that I know it, what the heck now? So it's an interesting place to be. It's a place I would describe as simultaneously knowing more, but knowing more to the point where you're like, there is so much even more that I don't know. It's almost if you were in a room this size before and you knew this much of it, and suddenly your knowing expanded like this, but now the room you're in is like, which is an interesting sensation, right? Because it's almost as though you have successfully mastered that certain level that you were at, you've completed it, you've arrived at a place where even if you're not completely out of a pattern, you see the pattern now. You've gotten the tools. You've achieved a certain level of mastery. This is what's coming forward, however you relate to that word. Mastery is something we just repeat enough times that we can start having a little bit of flair with it. It's like being able to ride your bike enough that now you can ride it with your pinky out. Look at you, fancy bike rider. Certain things have come to fruition or completion, however you want to look at it, but it's also, as we mentioned, expanded a lot more. Oh, now what? And you might also be reconciling some feelings about things that didn't quite turn out the way you expected them to. But what I want to invite you to consider, like the big emphasis I'm having here is, once again, it's not a mistake. It's a primed opportunity. Even if it feels like you're retreading old ground, it's a primed opportunity to step forward from this place with your new tools, your new awareness, all the stuff you've been cultivating. You're kind of revisiting the old ground to see the new portal, to step through the new portal. It almost be like I'm in a place, I've gone through these doors hundreds of times, and then suddenly you're at the place again, but a completely new dimension has opened up. And it's not about doing something that has to seem so fantastical. It's actually through taking the seemingly practical, seemingly pragmatic, the distillation, the simplicity and distillation of everything you've learned to this point. And the moving forward is the embodiment of what you've remembered or discovered about yourself, about life, about what inspires you, about what matters to you. Because this is the time, I would say, even just collectively, this is the time of shedding and releasing and closing up what does not matter anymore. Where living for tomorrow doesn't matter anymore. Activities, jobs, experiences, relationships, ways of living that are connected to old, outdated patterns that you are just not a yes to, that you're not a resonant yes to. That's what's been happening this year. This is closing. Also could be a butterfly. I like that it has that ability to shapeshift, just like you. Yeah, that's right. I called it shapeshifter, but we already knew that. So your ability to take many forms, to put on many personas, to adapt and move within your life is going to prove to be one of your most invaluable assets at this time. It's like realizing that through your ability to shift and transform, but retain your core. So it's not about losing yourself in the transformations. It's about giving yourself permission to meet the moment as you authentically are with the resonant, let's say, gear, with the resonant landing gear. It would be like, I can wear a tank top in the summer and a sweater in the winter, but I'm still me. Similar with how we shapeshift. It's very similar. My gosh, the sun is out. I'm going to step back this way for a moment. Can you all still hear me pretty resonantly from over here? I'm feeling the vibe of the shade of this tree. Protect me. They say it's good for your skin. So life could be seen as a Metroidvania game. It's like Metroid and Castlevania. And in that game, you as a character proceed along exploring this castle or this alien planet. And there are certain places that you revisit, but as you level up and gain new abilities, you can actually access new areas. You could view life in a similar way, that as you access new awarenesses and expand your perception, you are in a way up-leveling your ability to see and act on new pathways in old places, which helps us remember that it's not a mistake or a failing to be back to square one, but potentially an opportunity for a game plus. It's potentially life inviting you to complete an unfinished storyline, an unfinished chapter in the book, and not because you're being punished or you should have done it the first time, but because with the experience you have embodied now, you have a completely new way of moving through the current dimension. You can fly now, baby. You can fly now. And you can explore that for yourself. You don't need to take my word for it, but you check in with yourself and see if that resonates. Flying shapeshifters all up in here. Oh, this reality is going to be fun. Maybe it's more accurate to say it already is. We're just all catching up to it. If there was an action step, if there was something to really key you in here so that you could anchor this perspective in, remember that the step from here doesn't come from trying to figure out or strategize what to do next. Give yourself permission to embody, to be whatever it is you're envisioning you want to be. I have a video about that. I'll put in the link in the description. Be in the presence of embodying what it is at this juncture, and it transforms from a mistake or a regression into an understanding that it's more of a completely new level. It's a completely new dimension that you're meeting this at. And just a reminder that you don't gotta be so hard on yourself. I'm using my English that way. You don't gotta be so hard on yourself. No shame or blame. But I see you. You are really inspiring. There's a lot of love here for you. You got this. I'm going to read a few things out of a journal. I shrunk the journal, and this is a different journal. All right. I'm allowed to make perceived mistakes. Even perceived mistakes embraced with love and allowing unfold treasures of alignment, joy, and ease along my path. I am the co-creator of my reality, so I choose to receive all my resonant gifts now and to live them. This journey, this junction of the journey is inviting you to contemplate, what is it to be you with wings right now? Whatever wings means for you, because let's apply the metaphorical term to it. Wings, the ability to fly in more than one dimension. You don't just move forward and backward. Now you can move up and down and diagonally, right? What does it mean to be you with wings in this current situation? I invite you to meditate with that, to contemplate that. And if you feel inspired to go deeper with that, it's time of recording this. You can always check out the lab. We're having fun running experiences and experiments in there. And if you don't have the flow book yet, I invite you to check out the flow book. I use this tool. It's a tool that I continue to use in my own life. I find it very powerful, very potent. And be attuned to your own space. You are the most resonant receiver and translator of your own inspired information. It's an honor for me to have the conversations with you, to talk to you, to reflect these things to you. I'm having so much fun doing it with you. And we're taking a moment to recognize that you too have this empowerment. It's already active within you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be seeing these messages, my dear. So, awesome creature you. If you have enjoyed this, please feel free to like, share, subscribe. And remember to trust your tuning to these videos. You know, tune into the ones that you're like, this is the one for me to watch. Because when you do, you get the most inspired messages in precision timing. I find this to be so. And it's such a fun experiment to play with. And please do feel invited to leave a comment as well, because I love engaging in the comment area together. And in all cases, as you know, I look forward to our next conversation.